See language interview questions and answers. First question, what do you know about C language? And where it is used? C is a powerful and widely used programming language developed in the early 1970s. It is known for its efficiency and portability, making it widely used in system programming, embedded systems, and low-level development. C is utilized in operating systems, device drivers, firmware, and various application software, enabling direct hardware manipulation and optimizing performance. Why is C called a structural programming language? C is called a structural programming language because it primarily follows the procedural or top-down programming paradigm. It emphasizes breaking down a program into smaller, manageable functions or procedures, focusing on step-by-step execution. The language does not inherently support advanced object-oriented concepts like classes and inheritance, which are characteristic of object-oriented programming languages. Instead, C focuses on structured programming constructs like loops, conditionals, and functions, making it a suitable choice for developing efficient and modular programs. What are the features of C programming language? C language, being a foundational and influential programming language, has several essential features that make it stand out. Here are the 10 most important features of C. Portability. Pointers. Functions. Standard library. Modularity. Control structures. Preprocessor directives. Community and legacy. Unicode support. Automatic memory management. What are the basic data types supported in C? In C, the basic data types are used to define variables and specify the type of data they can hold. The fundamental data types supported in C are integers, used to store whole numbers. They can be classified based on their size and signness. Int, typically, a 32-bit signed integer. Short, a shorter version of int, often 16 bits in size. Long, a larger version of int, often 64 bits in size. Floating point numbers, used to store decimal numbers with fractional parts. Float, a single precision floating point number, usually 32 bits. Double, a double precision floating point number, usually 64 bits. Long double, extended precision floating point number, size may vary. Characters, used to store individual characters. Char, a single character, usually 8 bits. Boolean, used to represent true or false values, after including stdbool.h in C99 and later. Bool, can have two values, true or false. Void, represents the absence of type or the lack of a value, commonly used for pointers and function return types. Can you explain memory allocation process in C? In C, memory allocation can be done in two ways. Static memory allocation occurs at compile time when variables are declared. Memory is allocated on the stack for local variables and in the data segment for global variables. Dynamic memory allocation, performed at runtime using functions like malloc, calloc, or realloc from the standard library. Memory is allocated on the heap, and the programmer is responsible for managing the memory, deallocate using free when done. Dynamic memory allocation allows flexible memory usage, but it also requires careful memory management to prevent memory leaks and dangling pointers. What is printf, scanf, studio.h and why it is used? Printf, it is a function used to print formatted output to the console. It is part of the standard input-output library in C, stdio.h. The print function takes a format string as its first argument, followed by optional additional arguments that match the placeholders in the format string. It then displays the formatted output to the console. Scanf, it is a function used to read formatted input from the console. Like printf, it is also part of the standard input-output library in C, stdio.h. The scan function takes a format string as its first argument, followed by pointers to variables where the input values should be stored. It then waits for the user to input values and stores them in the specified variables. stdio.h, it is a header file in C that stands for standard input-output. It contains the declarations for the input-output functions like printf, scanf, and others. Including stdio.h in your C program allows you to use these functions and perform input and output operations. What is the difference between scanf and FGTS? Scanf reads input until the first white space, leaving the new line in the buffer. Prone to buffer overflow if the input exceeds the variable size. FGTS reads input until a specified delimiter or new line, avoiding buffer overflow. It includes the new line in the input. What is a struct keyword in C? Struct is used to define a user-defined data type that can hold multiple variables of different types under one name. Example. Describe the for and while loops in C and provide a comparison between them. For and while loops in C. For loop, used when the number of iterations is known. For example, while loop, used when the number of iterations is not known beforehand. For example, what is use of typedef keyword in C? Typedef is used to create an alias for a data type, making the code more readable and maintainable. It is often used with structures to define a new type with an associated name. What is auto keyword in C? Keyword is a storage class specifier that was used historically to declare automatic variables inside a function. However, starting from the C99 standard, the auto keyword became optional, and its use is now considered redundant. How do you pass arguments to a function by reference in C? Short answer with example. In C, you can pass arguments to a function by reference using pointers. By passing the address of the variable, you enable the function to modify the original value directly. Here is an example program. What is the difference between a local variable and a global variable? A local variable is a variable that is declared within a function and can only be accessed within that function. A global variable is a variable that is declared outside of any function and can be accessed from any function. Local variables are limited to their enclosing scope and have a shorter lifetime, while global variables are accessible across the entire program and persist throughout its execution. What is a pointer in C language and how is it used? A pointer in C is a variable that stores the memory address of another variable. It allows direct access and manipulation of the data it points to. Pointers are widely used for dynamic memory allocation, passing arguments by reference, and efficient data structures. How do you handle errors in C? In C, you can handle errors using the following techniques. Return values. Functions can return special values to indicate errors. For example, returning -1 to indicate an error in a function that normally returns non-negative integers. Global error variables. Using global variables to store error codes or status flags that functions can check and act accordingly. Error codes. Functions can use error codes to communicate the nature of the error explicitly. Erno and para. C provides the erno variable, which is set to indicate errors, and para function to print error messages. Setjump and longjump. Advanced error handling using the setjump and longjump functions for non-local jumps to error handling sections. Signal handling. Handling errors raised by signals using signal and sigaction functions. Errors in C can be handled using the try-catch statement. The try block is used to execute the code that might throw an error. The catch block is used to handle the error that is thrown. What are the different control flow statements in C? The different control flow statements in C are if statement, else statement, switch statement, for loop, while loop, do while loop. What are the different types of functions in C? The different types of functions in C are void functions, functions with return value, functions with parameters, recursive functions, library function, user-defined function. What are the different data structures that can be implemented in C? In C, various data structures can be implemented, such as arrays, a collection of elements of the same data type with a fixed size. Syntax. Linked lists, a linear data structure where elements, nodes, are connected using pointers. Stacks, a last in first out, LIFO, data structure. Queues, a first in first out, FIFO, data structure. Trees, hierarchical data structures with nodes connected by edges. Graphs, a collection of nodes, vertices, connected by edges. Explain the concept of recursion in C with a simple example. Recursion is a programming technique where a function calls itself to solve a problem. Here is an example of a recursive function to calculate the factorial of a positive integer. In this example, the factorial function calls itself with a smaller value until it reaches the base case, n is equal to 0 or n is equal to 1. The function then returns 1 as the factorial of 0 and 1. During the recursive calls, the function multiplies the current n with the result of the smaller subproblem, factorial, n1, eventually computing the factorial of the given number. What are the different ways to debug C programs? Different ways to debug C programs include printing statements, using printf or fprintf to print variable values and debug information to the console. Debugging tools, utilizing debuggers like GDB, GNU Debugger, to step through code, inspect variables, and identify issues. Assertions, adding assert statements to check assumptions about the program state during runtime. Logging, writing logs to a file to track program flow and variable values. Static code analysis, employing tools like Scheck or Plan Static Analyzer to find potential bugs and code issues. Dynamic analysis tools, using tools like Valgrind to detect memory-related errors like memory leaks or invalid memory access. IDE features, taking advantage of integrated development environments, IDEs, with built-in debugging capabilities, such as breakpoints and variable inspection. What is the difference between call by value and call by reference? Short answer. In call by value, a copy of the actual argument's value is passed to the function, and any changes made to the formal parameter do not affect the original argument. Here is an example program. In the call by value example, the function receives a copy of num, and any changes to the parameter inside the function do not affect the original variable. In call by reference, the memory address of the actual argument is passed to the function, allowing direct access to the original argument's value. Any changes made to the formal parameter also affect the original argument. Here is an example program. In the call by reference example, the function receives the address of num, allowing it to modify the original variable directly. Write a program to swap to numbers without using a temporary variable. Here is an example program. Write a C program to print your name 100 times on the console. Here is an example program that prints your name 100 times. Replace your name with your actual name, and when you run this program, it will print your name 100 times to the console. Question. Implement a function to check if a given string is a palindrome. Here is an example program. Question. Write a function to find the factorial of a given positive integer. Here is an example program. Question. Implement a function to reverse a linked list. Here is an example program. Question. Write a program to find the nth Fibonacci number. Here is an example program. Question. Implement a function to remove duplicates from an array of integers. Here is an example program. Question. Implement a function to find the maximum sum subarray in an array of integers. Here is an example program. Question. Write a program to sort an array of integers using the bubble sort algorithm. Here is an example program. Write a program that converts a character from lowercase to uppercase and vice versa. Here is an example program. Write a program that checking if a number is an Armstrong number or not. Here is an example program. Next, Java interview questions that are commonly asked to freshers and experienced candidates. First question, what is Java? Java is a high-level, object-oriented programming language known for its portability and flexibility. It was developed by James Gosling and his team at Sun Microsystems, now owned by Oracle Corporation. Java's key features include platform independence, which allows programs to run on any platform with a Java Virtual Machine, JVM. Object-oriented programming, enabling the use of classes and objects for code organization. And automatic memory management through garbage collection, which frees developers from manual memory allocation and deallocation. What is the difference between JDK, JRE, and JVM? JDK, Java Development Kit, is a software package that includes the tools necessary for developing, compiling, and running Java applications. It includes the JRE along with additional development tools like the Java Compiler, JAVAC, and the Java Debugger, JDB. JRE, Java Runtime Environment, is a software package that provides the runtime environment required for executing Java applications. It includes the JVM and core libraries. JVM, Java Virtual Machine, is a virtual machine that interprets Java bytecode and executes Java programs. It abstracts the underlying hardware and provides a consistent environment for Java applications to run on any platform. What are the main components of Java? JDK includes development tools like compiler and debugger. JRE provides the runtime environment for executing Java applications. JVM executes Java bytecode on the target platform. Java API, a vast collection of classes and libraries for various functionalities. Java language, the syntax and semantics of the Java programming language. Can you explain the main OOP concepts in Java? Classes, blueprint for creating objects. It defines the attributes, variables, and behaviors, methods of objects. Objects, instances of classes that encapsulate data and behavior. Inheritance allows a class to inherit properties and behaviors from another class, promoting code reusability. Polymorphism, the ability of objects to take on multiple forms, allowing different classes to be treated as instances of a common superclass. Encapsulation, the concept of hiding the internal implementation details of a class and exposing only necessary functionality through methods. What is runtime polymorphism in Java? Runtime polymorphism in Java, also known as dynamic method dispatch, it is a mechanism where the method to be executed is determined at runtime based on the actual object, not the reference type. It is achieved through method overriding. What are the different access modifiers in Java? Different access modifiers in Java. Public, accessible from anywhere in the program. Private, accessible only within the same class. Protected, accessible within the same class and its subclass. Default, no modifier accessible within the same package. What is the difference between an abstract class and an interface? Abstract class can have both abstract, unimplemented, and concrete, implemented methods. It can also have instance variables. A class can extend only one abstract class. Interface can have only abstract methods. From Java 8, it can have default and static methods with implementations. It cannot have instance variables. A class can implement multiple interfaces. How does exception handling work in Java? Exception handling is done using try-catch blocks. Code that might throw an exception is enclosed in the try block, and if an exception occurs, it's caught in the catch block, where appropriate actions can be taken. The throw keyword is used to explicitly throw exceptions. Which class is extended by all other classes in Java? All classes in Java implicitly extend the object class, which is the root class of the Java class hierarchy. What is the Java Collections Framework? The Java Collections Framework provides a set of interfaces and classes for working with collections of objects, such as lists, sets, maps, etc. Some important interfaces include list, set, map, and queue. Implementations include ArrayList, linked list, HashSet, HashMap, and more. What are lambda expressions in Java? Lambda expressions are a way to represent anonymous functions in Java. They are mainly used to define implementation for functional interfaces, which have only one abstract method. Lambda expressions provide a concise way to write code, especially for functional programming. What is the difference between final, finally, and finalize in Java? Final, modifier used to declare that a variable, method, or class cannot be modified or overridden. Finally, block used in try-catch to define a block of code that will be executed regardless of whether an exception occurs or not. Finalize, method, a method in the object class that is called by the garbage collector before an object is garbage collected. However, its use is discouraged in modern Java programming. What is the difference between object lock and types of lock available in Java? Object lock is used for synchronization to ensure that only one thread can access a synchronized block or method at a time. Java provides intrinsic locks, synchronized keyword, and explicit locks, java.util.concurrent package, for synchronization. What is the difference between super and this keyword? Super, it is used to refer to the superclass, typically used to call the superclass's constructor or access overridden methods. This, it refers to the current instance of the class and is used to distinguish between instance variables and method parameters with the same name. What is the difference between serializable and externalizable interfaces in Java? Both interfaces are used for object serialization. Serializable is a marker interface that indicates objects can be converted into a byte stream, while externalizable provides explicit control over the serialization process. What is the significance of the static keyword in Java? Variables indicates that the variable is a class-level variable shared by all instances of the class. Methods indicates that the method belongs to the class and can be called without creating an instance of the class. Blocks indicates a static block that is executed when the class is loaded into memory. What is the difference between method overriding and method overloading in Java? Method overriding in Java. Method overriding in Java allows a subclass to provide a specific implementation for a method that is already defined in its superclass. The method in the subclass must have the same method signature, name, return type, and parameters as the one in the superclass. When a method is called on an object of the subclass, the overridden method in the subclass is executed instead of the one in the superclass. Method overloading in Java. Method overloading in Java allows a class to have multiple methods with the same name but different parameter lists. The methods must have different parameter types or a different number of parameters. Java uses the method signature, name and parameter types to differentiate between overloaded methods during compilation. How to make a list as a read-only list in Java? You can create a read-only list using collections.unmodifiableList method, which wraps an existing list and prevents modification methods from being called. What is multithreading in Java? Multithreading allows the execution of multiple threads, lightweight processes, concurrently within a single Java program. Threads can be created by extending the thread class or implementing the runnable interface. Synchronization mechanisms like synchronized blocks and methods are used to avoid thread interference and memory inconsistency. What is Java reflection? Java reflection allows inspecting and manipulating class and object information at runtime. It provides classes like class, field, method, etc. to access class and member details dynamically. What is a diamond problem in Java? The diamond problem occurs in multiple inheritance scenarios where a class inherits from two classes that have a common ancestor. In Java, this issue is resolved by implementing interfaces, as Java does not support multiple inheritance for classes. What is concurrent heat map in Java? A concurrent heat map is a graphical representation of data where the color intensity represents the frequency of occurrence of data points at different positions on a grid. It is often used to visualize data in real-time or dynamic scenarios where multiple data points are updated simultaneously. What is a transient variable in Java? A transient variable is a variable in a class that is not serialized during object serialization. It is marked as transient to exclude it from the serialization process and prevent its state from being persisted. What are the different types of garbage collectors in Java? Serial garbage collector uses a single thread for garbage collection, suitable for single-threaded applications or small applications. Parallel garbage collector uses multiple threads for garbage collection, suitable for multi-core systems. CMIS, concurrent mark sweep, garbage collector, performs garbage collection concurrently with the application, reducing pauses. G1, garbage first, garbage collector, splits the heap into regions, and performs garbage collection incrementally. Can we implement multiple interfaces in a single Java class? Yes, Java supports multiple inheritance through interfaces. A class can implement multiple interfaces by specifying them in the class definition separated by commas. What are the wrapper classes in Java? Wrapper classes are used to convert primitive data types into objects so that they can be used in Java collections and other places that require objects. Examples include integer, double, character, etc. How do you handle file I/O in Java? In Java, file I/O, input-output, operations are performed using various classes provided by the Java Standard Library. The primary classes for handling file I/O are file input stream, file output stream, buffered reader, buffered writer, and java.nio classes like path, files, buffered reader, and buffered writer. Write Java program to find a number in a given array. Here is an example program. Java method to find the second largest element in an array. Here is an example program. Write a Java program to find the factorial of a given number. Here is an example program. Write a Java program to reverse a given string. Here is an example program. Write a Java program to check if a given number is a prime number. Here is an example program. Please refer to our previous videos where we covered a range of topics including common interview questions, HR interview questions, behavioral interview questions with answers, as well as job interview conversations in English.